timekeepers at the 1912 Summer Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden. A group of Los Angeles boys are showing off diving helmets. They made them from sections of hot water heaters, boilers, and other easily secured junk. This was in 1933. Bormann and Hitler are at Werwolf Wehrmacht headquarters in western Ukraine in 1942. A bomb squad is removing a pipe bomb. It was left at the Times Square Paramount Theatre. It was left by serial bomber George Metesky, who terrorized New York for 17 years. This all happened in December 1956. Eastern African slaves to Arabia. The picture was taken in the late 19th century. A GI has the slogan, "Where is Lee Harvey Oswald now that we really need him?" written on his helmet. The picture was taken in Compiègne in 1967. Physiotherapy used to be hands-off. This was at Walter Reed in 1920. Lucy Liu at the Emmy Awards in 1999. It's a male beauty contest. This took place in Vienna, Austria in 1926. American World War I veterans were at a 1978 reunion in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. The man wearing white gloves has a combat infantryman badge, which means he also fought in World War II. Ships firing flares in celebration of Japan's acceptance of the Allied terms in Leyte Gulf, Philippines, on August 15, 1945. President John F. Kennedy, after beginning his presidency with a speech that declared the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans, celebrated with his wife Jacqueline at his inaugural ball. A man is with alligators and caimans at a zoo in Florence in the 1900s. Terry Garr, 1965. Marilyn Monroe and Milton Berle are in a publicity photo to promote a Stop Arthritis benefit, organised by the Ringling Brothers Circus in 1955. Sigourney Weaver, photographed by Helmut Newton in 1983. In the 1920s, Abdülmecid II, head of the Imperial Ottoman House of Osmanoglu, was during their relegation to figurehead rulers of the Republic of Turkey. He was the final widely recognised caliph, or leader of the Muslim world. Despite composing some of America's most beloved songs, songwriter Stephen Foster spent his life plagued by poverty and alcoholism. German Foreign Minister Joachim von Ribbentrop is reading the declaration of war against the Soviet Union. This was the biggest military invasion in World War II. It happened on June 22, 1941. There's a Russian woman standing on a command variant of a T-72K main battle tank during the Soviet coup attempt by hardliners of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union in Moscow around August 18th to 22nd, 1991. Jennifer Tilly as Tiffany Valentine, 98. There are Native American little girls praying beside their beds. They're at the Phoenix Indian School in Arizona. Madonna, 1984. Marilyn Monroe is at a gambling table in Reno, Nevada in 1960. Charlotte Despard, who was born in 1844 and died in 1939, is addressing a crowd in Trafalgar Square during a communist rally on June 11, 1933. Yucatan, Mexico, 1923. Elvia Carrillo Puerto is the first woman elected to the Mexican Congress at a time when women couldn't vote. Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Japanese commercial for instant noodles, 1989. Michael Jackson as a Roman legionary in 1988. Christopher Reeve and Richard Pryor in Superman 3, 1983. May 26, 1972, signing in Moscow of the Basics of Relations between the USSR and the USA. On August 18, 1944, at the Liberation, 11 women suspected of collaboration were shorn in Chartres, France, as a sign of humiliation, including Simone Tussaud. This is a mugshot of Neil Cassidy from 1958. He was a big influence on the Beat Generation writers. He got arrested in April of 1958 for having marijuana and ended up serving 2 years in San Quentin. Electrocution for body contouring, Chicago, United States of America, 1950. Life in the Navy, fencing aboard a Japanese battleship, around 1910 to 1915. Alicia Silverstone during the 90s. The Belgian flag is lowered during the independence ceremonies in Kigali, Rwanda on July 1, 1962, ending Belgian rule in Africa. The Azorian hood, also called capote e capello in Portuguese, is a traditional piece of clothing from the Azores. People wore it up until the 1930s. French artist Jacques Lehmann painted a portrait of his cat in 1924. A cop stops traffic so a mother cat and her kitten can cross the street safely. It was 1925. A crowd in Berlin is celebrating the start of the Great War in August of 1914. The Sakurajima volcano in Japan erupted in 1914. It's a computer cafe in Japan, 1978. A fighter squadron sets off on a campaign. They're on Soviet RF-8 Gaz-98 aerosleds. This happened on the Northwestern Front in 1942. Robert De Niro carries an armful down a street near Grand Central Station, New York, around 1970. Jennifer Connelly in the 1980s. Acrobat and aerialist Louisita Lears, also known as Martha Louisa Crockle, on her time in the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus in 1933. Bridget Wilson as Sonia Blade. Iconic duos, Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis, early 1990s. Alison Hayes in the 1950s. Civil rights leaders meet with President John F. Kennedy in the Oval Office of the White House after the March on Washington, D.C. on August 28, 1963. In the year 1991, a film called Terminator 2 was made. It showed how they did practical effects. Actress Raquel Welch on the set of the film Myra Breckenridge in Los Angeles, 1970. Michael Jordan as a freshman at the University of North Carolina in 1982. Raquel Welch from the 1970s. Chimpanzee Cookie with a Boy on a Tricycle, Bronx Zoo, New York, 1943. German soldiers in North Africa are painting kill rings on the Flak 88. Everyone has a British roundel on it, and there also appears to be a date. This was in the early 1940s. Susan Sarandon, she's in her 80s. A nun is bringing women whose husbands and sons are at war to the American Red Cross dispensary for treatment. This happened sometime between 1914 and 1918. Suffragettes are in a procession to promote the women's exhibition in London in 1909. A quality control worker is inspecting Pepsi-Cola bottles fresh from an automated labelling system in the 1940s. children from Japan, Germany and Italy are meeting in Tokyo to celebrate the signing of the tripartite alliance between the three nations in 1940. Japanese Education Minister Kunihiko Hashida and Mayor Tomejiro Okubo of Tokyo were among the sponsors. James Hopkinson's plantation slaves are planting sweet potatoes in 1862. There's an unidentified speaker at a Women's Social and Political Union, or WSPU, meeting held in 1912. A Douglas SBD Dauntless dive bomber balances on its nose after crash landing on a carrier flight deck in the Pacific, 1943. A lady asked the Beatles what the fuzz was all about during the Abbey Road famous shooting. It was the late 60s. Sarah Forbes Bonetta, at 19, a Nigerian princess who was captured and later adopted by Queen Victoria in 1862. Children are in a telephone booth. A young man, probably in his early 20s, has ectrodactyly. This was sometime in the early 1900s. Sophia Loren, 1963. Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson in the 90s. Girls participating in the Corpus Christi procession, Vienna or Berlin, 1930s. Here's what we have. Vladimir Putin's Stasi identification card. He was assigned as a KGB agent in Dresden, as a mid-level liaison to the East German intelligence agency, the Stasi, in 1985. He worked as a translator to cover his KGB work on December 31st, 1985. The Byrne family and their moving house, 1929. Edith Ernst Wischniak is standing in front of the Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church at the corner of Marburger Straße and Tauentzienstraße in Berlin in 1947. The photograph was taken by Roman Wischniak. Measuring brainwaves, 1940. There's a machine for measuring brainwaves. It has 4 flexible rods attached to the brain to transmit data. It was designed and used in 1940. Matt Stone and Trey Parker, exploring China in the 1990s. Johnny Cash, the Man in Black, was arrested more than once, including a 1965 border bust in El Paso. Dog Albina, a participant in experiments on launching space rockets into near-Earth space. This happened in Moscow in 1957. This is Courtney Love's passport photo from 1996. J. Celestine Edwards, posing for his portrait in London. He was the son of West African slaves and studied theology and medicine. He also published anti-racism books. The year was 1894, and it was a glass negative. It's graduation, and they're in Red Square in 1960. A 54-year-old Chechen man, after Chechens stopped the Russian advance during the first days of the First Chechen War. Grozny, 1995. College girls are tuning in to a show on a portable television set in their dorm at Wellesley College, 1949. Wernher von Braun, director of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, is at his office in Huntsville, Alabama in 1965. Theda Bara in the lost movie Cleopatra, 1917. Brendan Fraser in a Gap ad, 1993. King Haakon VII of Norway, King Gustaf V of Sweden, and King Christian X of Denmark are meeting in Malmö, Sweden, to declare the neutrality of the three Scandinavian nations during the early stage of World War I in 1914. The Eiffel Tower, as seen from the Arc de Triomphe in 1920. Women are on a float at the Gasparilla Parade in Tampa, Florida, United States, on February 9, 1953. Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt, the 90s. Leah Thompson from the 1980s. Salma Hayek at age 26, photographed by Juan Carlos Cuellar in Mexico City, 1992. A father brings his son to a pub and lets him try some beer. This was in Ireland in the 1950s. Pinckney Benton Stuart Pinchback, who served as governor of Louisiana for 35 days. He was Louisiana's first black governor and the only black governor the state has ever had. This is an African wobe mask from the Ivory Coast. Extreme skier Doug Coombs is going down a steep cliff face. This was in Wyoming, USA in 1989. Hiromar Revels. He was born on September 27, 1827. He was a minister who became the first black man in the US Senate, representing Mississippi as a Republican. Eye to Eye, Mykonos, Greece, 1961. Eleanor Roosevelt in Los Angeles, California. Chimney Sweep, Frankfurt, Germany, 1947. Madonna, photographed by Mark Dolangowski in 1976-77 before she moved to New York and became famous. Charlie Chaplin in 1915. Patty McGee, the world's first female pro skateboarder, in 1965. Drew Barrymore, 1997. The Slinky is a classic children's toy, and it's a helical spring made from metal. Richard James invented it in the early 1940s, and it was introduced to the public in 1945. Freddie Mercury with his cats Oscar and Tiffany in 1985. Frank Mann, an African-American engineer and friend of Howard Hughes, made his mark on aviation and mechanics. He even trained the Tuskegee Airmen and was the first black commercial pilot. Gold miners in Auburn Ravine, California, 1852. In 1946, the Philippines became independent from the United States, 44 years to the day after the end of the Philippine-American War. George Dyler, Midlands champion beer drinker, 1954. Alright, let's dive into what went down behind the scenes of Dazed and Confused back in 1992. A black American man is coming out of the white men-only bathroom at the courthouse in Clinton, Louisiana, in 1964. American soldiers are attending a Christmas dinner in Camp Logan in Texas between 1917 and 1918. Jennifer Aniston, 1995. Albert DeSalvo, the confessed Boston Strangler, is rearrested in Lynn, Massachusetts, after escaping from Bridgewater State Hospital on February 25, 1967. Robert Engould, Kevin Peter Hall and Ron Perlman posing together around 1988. Princess Patricia is inspecting Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry in 1919. There's a young woman and a dog at a park, sometime around the 1950s. The first McDonald's burger stand was in San Bernardino, California in 1940. Training police dogs in Poland, 1929. A woman is washing windows above the Nachfolger Mantler Neumann Speditionen, which is the Mantler Neumann shipping agents, on Ferdinandstrasse in Leopoldstadt, Vienna. This was during the 1930s,